afternoon. And for the choice of Team of the Year will be decided on by the results of this match. Your winners of the grand finals will be that. We are now going to move in officially. It is time, 18 UTC. It is United States versus Germany. Match time has begun. I hope you've all been here. Worth the wait. We will be joined by none other than our third commentator today. We do have a TriCast again. Everyone give a very warm welcome to the well-deserved, finally getting a spot placed, Doomsday will be joining us.
What's going on, lads?
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
I am so ready for this, and the last hour has just been building up so hard to this now. It's nothing else really needs to be said, right?
No, this is what everybody's been waiting for, you know, the grand final, the now fourth meeting between these teams in the last 2 years. I mean, they go semifinals and grand finals 2020, then winners final, grand final 2021. It's been the dream, I think, for everyone to see Germany maybe finally knock down the United States. It's another matchup between these teams, and I think it's about as hyped for a grand final as you could possibly be.
With two teams that have fought through the tournament against all odds, the United States team going for the triple threat this year in the match. Germany dragging them to tiebreaker last week. We mentioned they're going to be the ones coming up from the losers bracket here, looking to make that bracket reset a possibility. They do have to win the two matches with that double elimination tournament format here, and they're going to look on starting off strong here. It's going to be the second ban for the United States. Germany going to be starting off with a ban on Hidden 2. The United States immediately No Mod 5 and DT2 to respond. And before I can even finish, Germany with the No Mod 5 and a pick. Okay, look at this.
Yeah, Germany is going back to basics, right? Hidden 2, No Mod 6 bans. United States going the expected route. No Mod 5, DT2 bans. And instant Hard Rock 3, which is a hell of a map this week.
Yeah, going straight into some of the US's strongest skill sets. They've been so good on the No Mod 6 stylings, the finger control, the rhythm control, those weird snappings. Going straight into it with this Hard Rock 3, which is full of those 1/3, 1/4, 1/6, 1/8, all over the shop in whatever configuration you can think of. It's very linear and sort of flow aim heavy, but it's all about those rhythms, and holding AC on this sort of map on the OD10, it's tough. The US have a perfect roster for that though.
And I think this is something that we kind of talked about a bit, you know, going into this match, is the United States on these kind of gimmickier picks, the sort of niche types of maps, United States being so strong, Germany trying to round out their roster to be able to be competitive on these maps this year more so than they have been in the past. But this USA team is just so good at these types of picks. And, you know, I think the discussion that I was seeing going around a lot is, you know, A, can Germany take any break points on these? But B, do we think Germany has enough picks to be able to contend with how good the USA is on these types of maps, which are kind of strewn throughout this pool?
There's quite a few of those for sure. There's a lot of tricky rhythm, even throughout some of the the non-rhythm focused picks, you know, especially in that hidden pool. But they've shown that they're far more rounded these days. You know, maybe in previous years you could poke Germany on, say, hidden maps or very particular things, and you know you're going to have a good game. But that's not really the case anymore. You know, players like Kriller brought in this year for Germany fits in the role for this sort of map perfectly and really help plug in those holes. And sure, the maps aren't so crazy hard that only one person on, you know, a team will be able to play it, but you know, it takes one player to get a 700, 800k, and that can swing the favour. So it's very possible. Going to be a tough fight though against the US on this one particularly, I feel.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, if there was anyone up to the task of doing it, it's certainly Germany right now. I think they've been looking to kind of take their revenge for a very long time now. And with their first rosters of the tournament here, Rising, Whitecat, Dust Ice, and Kriller going up against Fiery Rage, Digital Hypno, Utami, and Fancy Lad, they're going to look to make a strong start here on the first pick for the United States. And I think this could kick this match off rather well, depending on what we see here.
Yeah, in both matches now between these two teams, we see United States going with Hard Rock 3 as their first pick. They won it last week on the back of an FC from I'm a Fancy Lad to match Whitecat. Going to be looking to see if they can do the same thing here today to be able to establish themselves with an early lead in this matchup once again. So eyes for me on Fancy Lad, of course, again. Digital Hypno, returning to the team this year, coming in the grand finals to play the very first map. We haven't seen a lot of maps out of him, but I know he's done a lot of prep this week, so hopefully we'll be able to put up a good performance here. On the other side, Kriller having a little trouble already in the early stages of this pick, but the accuracy lead helping out Germany. Also going to be looking at Rising, a player who kind of, I think, underperformed yesterday as well as last week. He's going to be a guy that if he raises his level, Germany will be greatly benefiting from. For the moment, it's 4 FCs to 3.
4 FCs now down to 2. Unfortunate for Germany. Rough start.
That was the concern. There goes Whitecat as well. Rising and Whitecat both breaking multiple times. United States feeling themselves here. First pick, halfway, 4-way full combo. This was, I think, kind of what you would expect out of them on a map like this. Is a great performance on a first pick. And, Germany, I think, would have probably expected this, but you only have 2 bans. There's only so much you can do. And we do see eventually a break from Fiery and Digital Hypno, but unfortunately Rising breaking once again. He's falling pretty far behind as well as Kriller against their opposition. United States with almost a 500k lead, feeling pretty comfortable coming into the last quarter of this map.
Yeah, there's really not much that Germany's going to be able to do about this one here. We did talk about Dust Ice. There goes Fancy, Fiery, Digital Hypno, Kriller, and Rising all in the same pattern here. But shorter map here, last couple seconds of it. Dust Ice, that player we mentioned as one of the heavy hitters for Germany this year, certainly putting up the performance that is expected of him. Whitecat with just an early break. Utami does miss, but Dust Ice doesn't have enough potential score. It's going to be rather close into the ending here, though. Look at the score lead go back into the last couple of seconds.
Yeah, it drops all the way down to 200k from 500,000 points. The United States not having the best ending to that pick, but they ran out to a big enough early lead that they were able to comfortably take their first pick. And, unsurprisingly, but good to get off on the right foot for Germany. Good to keep that one relatively close. 200k, a little closer than maybe people would have expected going into that map.
Oh, for sure. You back up Dust Dice for that one. Big improvement from the score we got yesterday. I guess, didn't get the combo last time, but this time getting that FC. And you know what? Even though the US looked really hard to stop in that first half, they did crumble in the second half. Definitely weren't just walking through that one. It was a good score, though. Great first half from the US.
Yeah, that was just, it's like who can come in and start with an 800 or so combo, and then we'll just hope to hold on to it from there. And that was pretty much exactly what they pulled off. And, it's an S rank from Utami. It's a 1 miss from Fancy Lad. So, if those are removed from the equation, if they're able to get maybe one of those FCs, that scoreline jumps right back up. But it's going to be the first pick from Germany. They're going straight into mechanics. They go Nomad 1, Buta Muso, the Barking Mad Dog aim consistency pick. What do we think of this one, guys?
Dude, when you walk up slowly and first pick Nomad 1 in the grand final, no one has been liking these all tournament, right?
The United States has just had fear put into their hearts by Germany with absolutely no hesitation going straight into the Nomad 1 pick here. Of course, this, again, a very special map, the Katagiri map for the World Cup here. This is a kind of a fan favorite and a player favorite we've seen so far as a Nomad 1. The map certainly a good one at that. Barking Mad Dog very well versed in this mapping style here time and time again. I think he's kind of, you think of the Nomad 1 cliche and it's Barking Mad Dog, 9 times out of 10. And it's because he's almost one of the best for this, and Germany clearly recognizing that right now. One of the best maps for them, opening with the mechanics. I think we talked about it in the previous match against the United States and Germany as well. Germany maybe a little bit more favored on some of the mechanics-based maps as a 4-person roster. The United States maybe a little bit sided towards the gimmick and technical skill sets comparatively.
I'd agree. The US have not wanted to pick into No Mod 1 at all. They've even banned it in the semis. Germany definitely like to get stuck into these, though. They aren't afraid at all. This map won't spook them, of course. You already mentioned it. But yeah, it's 210 BPM, so that's a pretty standard BPM for Grand Finals No Mod 1. And it's very comfortable in its flow, I guess. It's just so spaced. But it's got a few little other bits and bobs to mix it up a bit. Some 3-4 sliders, some fairly high SV sections here and there, a few bursts. So it's not all comfortable, but it is pretty comfortable for the players that are going to be involved here.
And those players looking to be Fancy Lad, Digital Hypno, Aryu, Utami on the side of USA, Kriller, White Cat, Okinamo, Dust Ice, reprising their 4-man from yesterday. Germany, of course, putting up a almost 2.8 million point score on this, with Dust Ice leading the way, 948k, just breaking at the very end. Just hoping to get that kind of performance out of their team again today. And you know, it's an interesting direction to go, in my opinion, to go straight into, you know, an aim consistency pick when you do have a couple of those, you know, stamina consistency picks available to you. But Germany may be a little bit spooked by what happened to them in the finals match, so opting into aim instead of, you know, kind of what we describe as left-hand mechanics. And we're going to see how it goes against the United States, as mentioned, a team that typically doesn't pick a lot of aim and doesn't voluntarily go into these types of maps.
Well, this is a rather difficult one, and again, you know, Doomsday mentioned the spacing on this map does get quite difficult here, and, you know, despite the big jumps being the main point of difficulty here, we have seen breaks otherwise, especially these short sliders here. It is really easy just to under-aim it slightly or over-aim it. Being able to control at this large spacing is something that is a skill set in and of itself outside of the basic aim required for this map, but everyone just looking so strong on this right now. The United States going to take a slight accolade, but Germany just continues to pull it back from them. It's going to go back and forth between these two teams here. The first miss is really going to throw this. We're approaching a quarter of the way, and it's Aryu to start.
Yep, that is Aryu dropping, still a 4-way intact for Germany. I believe they held a 4-way on this yesterday for something like 600 combo, which gets you through this entire first KI section, and they're looking to do much the same thing again today. This German squad of aim players is ridiculously comfortable and confident on these No Mod 1s, and they're looking the part again here today. Not a single break, up over 650 combo. There goes Utami as well, who has been a very strong aim player for USA, but their second miss on that square pattern. And so it is 4 FCs to 2. Germany is going to start to take off if they can hold, but Okinamo breaks. It's traded with Fancy Lad. Digital Hypno, the lone FC for USA against a triple full combo. Now his is gone too. All right, well, Germany is just going to roll with this pick.
Well, I guess even saying that Germany was a stronger mechanics team is kind of an understatement right now. Halfway through the map, Kriller, White Cat, Dust Ice, the 3 players who, you know, we mentioned Kriller, candidate for Rookie of the Year, Dust Ice, candidate for Veteran of the Year, White Cat, candidate for Player of the Year, all 3 of them, and I guess they're kind of proving us why we should have just picked them instead right now, because this is absolutely just a stomp. Aryu trying to make something happen for the US right now with his combo, but they need 3 breaks from Germany to even have a chance of getting back into this, and they're past halfway.
Yeah, I just don't think this is going to happen for the United States here. It's the German side looking so good. A break from Kriller, but White Cat and Dust Ice just going off, both over 99.5 hacks, still FCing. 566k apiece at a 500,000 point lead. Of course, we did see a 500,000 point lead on last pick for the United States, but this one feels a little less likely to come back the other way. Germany's aim mechanics just coming out of the gate, guns blazing in this match. This is exactly what they wanted out of their first pick, to just put up a definitive score that is untouchable for the opposing team.
What do you even do against this if you're the United States? I mean, Aryu was your highest combo and broke. Everyone else has recovered, but Dust Ice breaks alongside Digital Hypno, which just continues to keep the score line basically right where it is. Okinamo missed once and has FC'd everything since. Likewise with Kriller missing right at that middle pattern here. Whitecat, he just keeps going. There is literally no stopping him. You cannot take aim and expect to win it when this is the score that you are seeing put up against you in this match. Utami is the only one that is even remotely coming close on the United States side to this score right now. And as we come into the final jump of this map, Whitecat with an FC! What?
We thought 2.8 million was a good score. Germany says, nope, we can go higher than that. 3 million score on Nomad 1 in grand finals with a full combo from Whitecat. I mean, what do you do but laugh if you're the opposing team? Almost 800k win. That is a ludicrous showing from Germany.
These guys could jump, man. That is a really good score between all four of them.
Oh, man.
That is incredible. And that... It ties it up as 1-1, obviously very early, but that's going to be some thinking. And it's a quick pick from the United States. They go instantly into Nomad 4, but you wonder now, does Germany just go down the list of ones? They can go Nomad 1, they can go Hard Rock 1, and they look like their aim is just on point today.
Nomad 4, a map that the United States has traditionally been fairly comfortable on. They have had it taken away from them a couple of times, though, and again, these Halgo maps generally it's fairly slider heavy as well, something the United States has struggled with, and they've lost this pick a couple of times now. Germany, however, they're really starting to rely on a couple of single players on the Nomad 4 type maps here. I think that, you know, while less favored to the United States than some of the other hidden picks potentially, or something like Nomad 6, this Nomad 4 pick it's a rough go sometimes here. You know, Fiery has generally been a big performer for them on this map, but up until now there hasn't been anyone else to step up to the plate. But on the German side, I mean, you have Whitecat who can perform on basically anything you want him to. Kriller has been a driving force on maps like this on their team. You know, generally one slider break, maybe one miss on the occasion of maps like this. And then, of course, you know, the Dustus Okinamo pair that continues to turn heads.
I think on the balance of things, though, the US are going to have the stronger four really going into this. Germany would, I think they are going to be relying on those players you mentioned, because this map, it's one of those ones that has not only those crazy SVs that you see in these Nomad 4s, these slider tech maps, but it has some pretty nasty, very weirdly spaced bursts, like in between almost every single major slider you have to aim at. There is so much aim control, and it's so relentless in this. I can see a couple of players on Germany maybe struggling in terms of the consistency, and, well, considering they banned this yesterday, I don't think they're too excited about this.
Yeah, I was going to mention, like, this was a map that Germany decided to ban against South Korea, a team who have looked good, who did look good over the course of the tournament on these tech picks. So definitely a map that Germany doesn't love, but decided to leave it up today in favor of, you know, banning the Hidden 2 Nomad 6 combo. And Fancy Lad, Digital Hypno, Fire Rage Utami, gonna see if they can make Germany wish that they had banned out Nomad 4 again here today. As you said, Kriller, Whitecat, Okinamo, Dust Ice have looked good, but not necessarily within their skill set. Interesting to me to see Digital Hypno in for his third straight pick, where he has really not played a lot over the course of this tournament. Going to be watching his screen very closely to see how he fares here in this grand finals.
Well, into the grand finals here they go, trudging through the Nomad 4 with a traded miss. Now, oh god! Hey. Oh wow! All right, it's Whitecat and Utami.
It's just Utami Whitecat. All right then, and there goes Whitecat.
Oh, not anymore.
And there goes Utami. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I give up. All right.
Yeah. So this map is very hard. Some of the you know, craziest tech map patterns you're ever likely to see. These sliders are very hard, the bursts are very hard, and players not having a great time, but United States starting to stabilize a little bit with Fancy Lad and Digital Hypno both pulling up over 300 combo. Kriller, the closest from Germany, was not at that point. He's about 100 combo, 50 combo behind, depending on the player being compared to. And USA taking a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, you know, we mentioned before the map started that the Halgo slider gambit here generally catches quite a few players off guards, and Kriller, Digital Hypno gonna trade out a break there. That's not the miss they wanted to see, but Fancy Lad, Utami, and Digital Hypno finding a triple miss there is gonna give Germany a chance to maybe get back into this a little bit there. Kriller, Fancy Lad trade again, but Dust Ice finds a break. But Fiery Rage does as well, so Germany's going to continue bringing this back over now. The map's got about a quarter of the way left, and they could do this on the back of White Cat and Okinawa as long as they continue holding.
And there goes, unfortunately, Okinawa, but it is Utami versus White Cat at very similar combos. Utami breaks and White Cat holds on. Germany can make a run at this. The lead is not that large, and there is a little bit of backing combo being built up for both teams. United States does have the combo advantage. Break from Digital Hypno traded with Okinawa. There goes Fancy Lad as well as Dust Ice. It's just White Cat and Utami playing head-to-head, and they're going to stay close enough that even if White Cat outscores, it's not going to be enough to bring this back. Fire Rage, that 400 backing combo for the USA. This is going to be a very tense win for the United States. I don't know how great they're going to feel about only winning that one by 140k. A win is a win. The W is the W on the board. The point goes their way. But a Nomad 4 that Germany banned out yesterday being that close for that much of it, I don't know how comfortable the United States are going to feel, other than maybe taking solace in the fact that the scores on tech maps are typically a little bit lower, and they still got a pretty good showing out of a couple of their players.
Yeah, it was just chaos, honestly, just across the board. You saw White Cat and Utami pull something together at the end there. Fiery as well, Okinawa as well, but yeah, I don't think the US are going to be looking at that as a massive win, but I'm sure they'll be happy they got the point though. There's no other tech map that crazy in terms of sliders, though.
Yeah. And here is Germany just working their way down the list. It's the Nomad 2 going to be the pick. Pantheon of Forsaken Gods by Brimir, mapped by LMT. This is a very difficult late-stage Nomad 2, and of course Germany, known as one of the best stream map teams in the tournament. Gotta think this favors them.
Oh, they were so good on this yesterday. Germany was so good on this yesterday. Nearly 3 million. White Cat with a ridiculous 3100s FC. If he recreates that, I think even he'll be happy with that performance twice in a row. Because, yeah, as you mentioned, this is brutal, relentless.
That team score, another great one. Almost 3 million on this one yesterday for Germany.
It's a bit of a different MR2 though, this. More irregular. Lots of stop and start streams in this, you know, stacks that go into a wide spacing linear thing. The second half of this goes into long streams with lots of directional changes and spacing changes, kind of like how a Mazarin map goes. It's not a comfortable number 2 this at all.
I think we may get a couple of different players in as well, with the map style changing up a bit here. You see Exarch and Taquito coming in for the United States. You got Rising coming back in for Germany, so that's going to be an interesting part of this, is how different the rosters are going to be. And of course, this is the very rare occasion where you see United States leaving a Nomad 2 available. The only time they've left Nomad 2 up previously in this tournament was against Hong Kong. Other than that, they just permabanned this map slot. So leaving it up here as maybe a little bit of a gamble, but maybe it's a Nomad 2 they feel comfortable with. Utami, Exarch, you know, both very solid stream players. Fancy Lad has improved his streaming skill. And interestingly, it's Airyu as their fourth, it looks like.
Airyu stream player. I think that Airyu's again one of those players that I think is so versatile for the United States that at this point you can kind of put him in for whatever you need to. And given that this Nomad 2 here is just relatively sitting right at 200 BPM-ish, is something that's even comfortable if you're not, one of the stamina-oriented players, or even, stream aim. This does have a bit of that requirement in here. The spacing changes, and then, of course, with the shapes, does start to get a little bit tricky here. So even if you're not just a base stamina player, I think this would kind of favor those otherwise, kind of the reason that players like Arison aren't in for this map, despite probably having the highest stamina cap of anyone in the lobby here. It speaks a lot about the style of the map that this is, especially players like Exarch as well, who are very well versed in those spaced stream type things. You got players like White Cat, Dust Ice, Ombre that are going to give them a run for their money too. Likewise, that same skill set sitting there.
Yeah, I think a Nomad 2 that you don't have Arison in for, best known in this sort of stamina skill set, like you said, and it speaks about the aim, but Germany looked really good on this yesterday. We'll see if they can recreate that performance. I don't know if there's anybody more consistent on high-level difficulty maps than Whitecat in this tournament, so he's going to be called upon, I think, once again to try and put up a great score. Umbre with the early break, so USA does take a starting lead, but Exarch and Utami both fall by the wayside, and that is going to swing right back on over. We'll see how long Germany can hold these triple FCs, as the United States has a couple of breaks early on.
There goes Rising and Dust Ice, though. That's pretty big for Germany. Exarch and Utami with that double break. Exarch did find a second one. There goes Umbre as well. Germany just on the back of Whitecat now. It's Ariu and FancyLad to hold up against them. FancyLad with just barely lower accuracy than Whitecat. Dust Ice going to be finding just one more break there, but that supporting combo all around from the United States now just higher. Not only the double FC and Umbre. Before the break, Germany kind of letting this one slip just a bit. They can't rely on Whitecat this heavily, unfortunately, and the United States, Exarch, and Utami, despite having those misses, 99.3 and 99.1, relatively speaking, the higher AC as well.
This map gets so hard, though. The rest of the way, the entire back half of this pick is incredibly technically demanding, both on your tapping and your flow aim. The spacing of these streams is very difficult. Umbre continuing to have problems, which is helping out the United States more and more. There goes Rising once again. Is this the United States Nomad 2 of myth and legend? We never see this. You don't get to see the United States playing Nomad 2s, and this map is making you wonder why, because they're just holding like it is no problem. Still a bit of map left to go. You can see from the scores how much combo is in this last quarter. There's still probably, almost 400k score to come. Ariu with that break, but FancyLad, Exarch, Utami, and there's another break from Dust Ice and Umbre. This is getting out of reach here for Germany if they want to hold on to this point.
Utami does finally find a break, but look at this. It's almost 500,000 score in the favor of the United States. Whitecat, even with an FC, only has about 250,000 score here, and with absolutely no backing combo to speak of, Umbre, Dust Ice keep breaking, Rising just barely with a 500 combo. Now FancyLad is holding off, even with the double break from Utami, Exarch, and Ariu FancyLad as well. The score lead is just far too great now, in the United States with that four-person performance here, just absolutely tearing up this map. They haven't picked it quite often, especially after losing this map to a team like the United Kingdom earlier in the tournament, Nomad 2 style. They've certainly made an absolutely massive performance improvement there, but Whitecat with the only FC on Germany tried to put the work in.
I said he was consistent on these high star rating maps, and we were not disappointed by Whitecat, but the United States tearing up the map, tearing up the script once again, saying, we don't care that Germany's favored on these stamina picks. We're going to take this anyway. And, man, that's going to give them a lot of confidence going forward, surely.
I think Germany are going to be they're going to be kicking themselves a bit, because I think that was a pretty strong underperformance from the three key players. It's far lower than what they got yesterday. But the US matching them blow for blow, even if Germany managed to recreate that, would have been pretty close. The US are going to be so happy winning that, though. It's a massive point in this game.
Yeah, just to look at a comparison real quick, yesterday Germany put up 2.9 million. Today USA put up 2.5 million. So that kind of regression toward the mean. We talk about that a lot in sports and esports, and that was unfortunately the fate of Germany. The discussion is had about the USA mental debuff. Teams seem to occasionally play a little worse against the USA for one reason or another, and maybe that was just the case on that Nomad 2, but still plenty of match left. It's by no means over as we trend back into a more awkward, gimmicky pick with the United States going pre-mod 2 here. This is a crazy KTG-ster map.
This map is something else. It's one of my favorites of the whole pool, not just because I'm a low AR player, but it's just such a cool idea for a tournament map. KTG-ster once again giving us another old map special, I guess. Crazy linear aim on this. Circle size 5, AR 8.5. But even though it's not AR 8, this on hidden is just death. The linear patterns in this have these little spacing changes and little accelerations and decelerations that make it an absolute nightmare to snap to on low approach rate. And even for the hard rock players, small circle size on these wide linear aim patterns are really nasty. So regardless of the mod you pick, there's no free easy ticket on this. It's one of the harder maps in the pool, in my opinion, but we've seen some good scores on this weekend.
Yeah, yesterday, we saw in the show match, right, Badu putting up a heck of a score, but in the match, South Korea versus Germany, you saw Flying Tuna putting up a 650k on Nomad, Whitecat putting up a 660k on Nomad. Germany did end up with 1.9 million as the score there, so that's probably the target for USA, about 200 or 2 million or so as a minimum. But I'm very interested to see what we end up with for mods. I think yesterday was Hallow Watcher, Hard Rock, and Kriller on Hidden for Germany, with the other two on no mod. And they're changing that roster up a little bit. You have Okinamo coming in today in place of Umbre. So probably maybe we see Okinamo going to Hidden, or just an Okinamo no mod. Meanwhile, USA, Utami, Hidden, Digital Hypno. I think that's a little bit of a tank mod on Hard Rock for Digital Hypno, with Aryu, their low AR small circle specialist on no mod, and Fancy Lad joining him.
Yeah, I'm seeing the combo, I imagine. Everyu and Fancy on no mod low AR isn't going to be much of a problem. Okinamo no mod is interesting though, because he very rarely takes off that Hidden, but he can fill in on that pretty well as well. Pretty solid reading on him.
I'm a little interested as well to see this roster from the United States not including Takedo, because he is a hidden specialist and very good at low approach rate. So USA opting into a little different roster where they have Utami on Nomad and or on Utami on Hidden instead of maybe Takedo Hidden Utami as a Nomad player, and a couple early breaks here. Utami having some trouble, Okinamo and Kriller likewise, and Digital Hypno as well as Aryu. These are just breaks all over the place. Fancy Lad having a good time, but Hallow and Whitecat keeping the advantage in favor of Germany here in the early goings.
A little bit of a break from Hallow Watcher there, so he's going to lose that big advantage for Germany, but they are going to hold it on the back of Whitecat here. Digital Hypno going to find another break. Utami seems to have gotten through kind of the linear miss-aims at the beginning of the map here. I think, putting him in over someone like Takedo. Takedo, while a very mechanically skilled hidden player, does maybe potentially fall shorter than Utami on some of the gimmick-type maps, but Utami not having the best of times right now, continues missing on all of these linear patterns. However, Germany with a three-way break, and Aryu and Fancy Lad both holding the combo there is going to be big for them. They're going to start to claw some of this lead back, but with Utami and Digital Hypno continuing to break, it's very much putting a hold on that run back here. Whitecat matching Fancy Lad. Germany needs to see a break from Aryu relatively soon if they want to keep holding this down, but he doesn't miss.
Hallow Watcher and Okinamo finding a traded break, but it's just not coming back. The United States doesn't have enough score. There's going to be, I think, time, but Whitecat as the lone combo in Germany is still keeping them 100k in the lead, but they're having some difficulty. Fortunately for Germany, United States, Utami and Digital Hypno not able to get anything going. Fancy Lad and Aryu holding on to an FC and a big combo. It's coming back slowly but surely into the last moments. It's going to be coming down to the very last few seconds. Will it swing over? Is there enough time? There is not. And it's a break point by 14,000 points for Germany. I'm a Fancy Lad, by the way, holding an SS. I did not want to mention it. I did not want to say anything about it like a pitcher throwing a perfect game, but it is just not enough as Whitecat matches with a 1x100 Nomad FC. Unfortunately for the United States, Utami and Digital Hypno just struggling too much to be carried on that pick. And that's a breakpoint right back.
Dude,
Goodness.
Can we just talk about these FCs? Whitecat and Fancy Lad, 1-100 to an SS. It's ridiculous. I mean, this map isn't crazy to hack, but it's the aim, man. That's insane. Even on
linear
no mod.
With the mouse, too. That is just linear mouse aim at its finest there. The United States, man, Fancy Lad doing all he could. Likewise with Whitecat, they're doing everything, the most that they could, but the Utami Digital Hypno combo just doing too much damage for the United States there, despite all three German players besides Whitecat finding breaks for the entire duration of that map. There was just no backing combos for both sides there, coming right down to the end. And now back into Germany's pick. They're still in this trading back and forth. The United States and Germany no going back here right now. They have the break point to show for themselves that they're going to make this a potential tie game on this one again.
Yep, and I want to just mention the accuracy, I think, ended up being the difference on that while we look at, kind of figuring out how the USA didn't win that despite an FC and that massive score from Aryu. 96 AC on Digital Hypno, 95 AC on Utami versus 99s on both White Cat and Kriller, 98s on Hello Watcher and Okinamo. Like, that's just the difference maker on a map like that right there. But I think we're just throwing the script out the window, right? USA winning No Mod 2 and Germany winning Free Mod 2. That's so backwards.
The last game was exactly like that as well. You know, Germany were winning all the hidden picks. US are winning all those speed picks. Round 2, let's go.
And Ronnie Hard Rock won. Well, we saw how good Germany's aim looked on No Mod 1. And so they say Hard Rock won. We may have lost it yesterday against South Korea, but against the United States, we like this matchup just a little bit more. And we're going to go back that direction once again.
Now this one is a map that I think anyone on either team ain't going to be too bothered about playing in solo. Mapped by Skyflame, who is just so well known for making very comfortable, high mechanics maps. And this is another one of those on the Hard Rock this time. Pretty comfortable flow, pretty comfortable styling, but of course very spaced, very high star rating. Mostly about the jumps, as you'd expect. It's got the odd stream here and there, and they are kind of spaced. But it's all about those jumps on that Hard Rock. It's a pretty standard Hard Rock one, this.
That's kind of what you expect, I think, out of Skyflame. It's just standard. And, I mean, I feel like, you know, I said No Mod 2 was favored toward Germany, and it feels like Hard Rock 1 is also favored toward Germany, but this one, I think, based on how the USA's aim looked on No Mod 1, I think maybe a little bit more secure for them. Never say never, though.
Oh, you can never do that, really. I feel like a lot of these players would rather play something on AR10, though, even if that No Mod 1 is kind of high AR. I don't know, I feel like most teams tend to gravitate towards, you know, the super high approach rate aim maps just because of that reading. A bit more comfort can be very important, even if, you know, the circle is a little bit smaller. I don't know, I feel like you see Hard Rock 1 more than No Mod 1.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree with that. We definitely have trended that direction a little bit more. We'll see if it works out, if the higher approach rate, you know, even if only by 0.2, that slightly higher approach rate, slightly smaller circles, end up working out for Germany, trying to tie things up 3-3. White Cat, Dust Ice, Kriller, and Hallow Watcher. Once again, same 4-man roster as they brought out yesterday. Fiery Rage, Digital Hypno, Tommy Ariu. Digital Hypno, by the way, is he at 100% participation so far through now 6 maps? Because that's pretty, or no, all but 1, because he's not playing No Mod 2. More maps than you expect to see out of him normally, so definitely put in the work this week and is ready to go for this match.
He kind of slipped under the radar for a couple of weeks there. He wasn't playing quite as much, wasn't you know, filled or used for quite some time for a couple of weeks there, and he's finally getting back into the swing of things here. Of course, a very skilled player and an asset to the team, especially on these aim-based picks here. And I think, you know, you mentioned maybe that slightly smaller circle size playing into why he is on the roster for this map here. Likewise, even with someone, you know, like Utami, generally has not been a strong Hard Rock player for the United States in previous tournaments, and has started to kind of come into his own on these Hard Rock aim picks here. But both of these teams with exceptional lineups. We talked about Hallow Watcher in the awards showcase as well, a very, very high-skilled Hard Rock player, whether or not it's these aim picks or something more technically intensive. He is a big player for them. He's found a couple of 1 misses in previous weeks here, but we'll see how long they hold. It's going to be Fiery Rage for the US to give it to Germany in the quarter-way mark of the map here. They're going to hold these combos.
Yeah, we've talked, I think, in the past about the kind of binary nature of aim maps like this one. You know, you get to those big difficulty spike jump patterns, and there's you either hit them or you miss them. You know, I know that sounds very simplistic, but on aim versus something like a tech map, you know, where it's a slider instead of a big jump pattern, it's just a very different feeling. And Fire Rage so far the only one to succumb to that difficulty. That's going to give Germany a little bit of an early lead, and still looking like their aim is just on point so far in this map, with a 4-way full combo against now just 2 FCs for USA, as Digital Hypno and Fire Rage both find a couple breaks. It's going to be a tough ask for USA once again to come back. Germany on these aim mechanics looking so good. Finally, their first break comes from Hallow Watcher.
There it is. A little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel for the United States, but with Fiery Rage continuing to find some under-aims there, and with Utami finding a big break right as we say that, that is actually going to close that gap that the United States had to bring some score back there. And there goes Airyu, Halawatcher, Digital Hypno, and Utami on the same pattern. It's White Cat and Dust Ice. White Cat's got 1 or 2 100s. At this point, I'm not even surprised anymore. He is just absolutely insane. Dust Ice looks like he's going to be pushing 99% accuracy by the end of the map if he's able to maintain on the streams as well. And there's just nothing that the United States is able to do right now. Fiery Rage finally had a chance to reset his aim. I'm sure with no pauses in this map, the mouse drift was going to start to play a role in those misses. But as of right now, the combo lead is just so far in favor of Germany. Even the supporting combos on Kriller and Halawatcher are making it work. Dust Ice does find a break, but as long as White Cat continues holding the score lead, will continue to Germany's side here.
Yeah, this one is pretty much out of reach already. This is just Germany exerting their will on these mechanics. I mean, we've seen what they can do on maps like this. The Hard Rock 1, of course, they won in this same matchup last week. Lost it yesterday to an inspired performance from South Korea, but against the United States team, as we've discussed, really not preferential aim players. Germany just looking untouchable, and White Cat finally finding the break at the very end is not going to affect the score. It's a 700,000 point lead or thereabouts, and Germany gonna tie it up after all is said and done here. It's gonna be a 3-3, so despite the blunder on Nomad 2, able to take that victory in the free mod and able to just stamp out a clean win here on Hard Rock 1. Really great performances from basically everyone on that German roster. I think their lowest score is going to barely be behind the highest score from the United States, and that says a lot on this stage of pool.
It certainly does. I mean, White Cat continuing to be a major part of this winning map here for Germany. Dust Ice as well. Big recovery from that miss. The accuracy holding up just so well. 99.3 and above by the end of the map here. 99.7 for White Cat, and the United States with not a single player at 99. Airyu cursor dancing the entire last set of linear jumps there. It was just far too over, in Germany putting up a 2.6 million team score on the Hard Rock 1. Not quite as strong as the Nomad one, but as strong as you'd like against the 700,000 score victory there.
Strong as it needs to be, for sure. Both of those aim maps, even the slightly more comfortable stylings for most people, Germany's still looking dominant. And that really does open up things like DT1, and maybe even Free Mod 1.
Meanwhile, United States saying, we refuse to even think about playing your game. We're going to stick to our guns here. The instant DT4 pick. They're going to put the previous map out of their minds as quickly as they can, and they're going to go into a tech DT pick, which is something we really have not seen in this tournament very much. A lot of these double time 4 picks have ended up being, alt or older style maps. This one throws a whole different set of skills at you.
Yeah, this isn't one of those like old style DT4 maps where it's like low BPM, but it's on like old school patterns and things. This one's very much in the modern era, mapped by Real AZ. Usually maps a lot of tech maps, and this is definitely down that garden path. Plenty of control bursts, doubles and quads, spaced burst patterns that take a lot of snappy aim, plenty of kick sliders and wub sliders, except it's on double time, so you got that higher approach rate, higher tempo in general, quite high OD too.
Here comes the bass.
Interesting to me in the scheme of things to see that the United States is the team opening up the DT pool. We had double time 3, that 273 BPM pick that I think people may have expected Germany to opt into early, but they decided to trend more into the aim instead of the stamina, so it ends up being United States. They picked the DT4 in this matchup last week. Very different style of map there, won it. And to try to do the same thing again today, your own 4th pick, and you start to wonder, you get into the 4th, the 5th pick for these teams, how many maps do they have where they really feel so favored? Germany on the Nomad 1 and Hard Rock 1 definitely look that way. Will the United States feel the same here on DT4 is the question they must answer.
Well, I think at the moment they still have obviously plenty of chances on this one. This is well in their wheelhouse, and certainly not the DT pick Germany would want. And with this map pool having a decent amount of control in a few other maps, they still have plenty more to dig into if this continues to work. But Germany do too, so yeah, plenty of powerful picks for both teams yet.
Well, not quite done yet here. We're only just beginning, not even halfway into the potential points for this match yet. This is a DT4 that is slightly different from some of the ones we've seen in the tournament so far. You got a lot of the flow aim, a lot of those alt DTs in this slot, and we're finally coming back to the tech this week. Of course, we mentioned the Realizy and Mirror collaboration on this map here. We'll see if that little addition of Mirror here gives that German favored a little bit on this one. They're going to be looking for it here because the United States has been an absolutely unstoppable force on DT4s, even against some of the strongest teams here. So this is a pick I think that they are very confident in. But German roster right now making it work. Dust Ice just with a very early break alongside Fancy Lad. They're going to be keeping it pretty even between the two. The ACK lead for the United States doing more, but that break from Dust Ice is going to start to work in the favor of the US. Utami rising trade.
Yeah, USA is going to be okay with that trade. It's still 2 FCs and 1 giant combo against just the 2 FCs from Kriller and Whitecat. Kriller keeping up the 99% ACK FC. This is why he's on the team, is for kind of oddball stuff like this. Fancy Lad with the break, Taquito with the break as well. It's now Germany swinging that advantage back in their favor in that combo. 150k down, but that score is going to come on back if Kriller and Whitecat continue to hold. Rising with another break, but his score is kind of irrelevant at this point in the grand scheme of things because it's all going to be on to those 2 full combo players. How long can Kriller and Whitecat hold? Will it be enough to bring this score gap back? Whitecat FCs almost feel like a no-brainer at this point because of how well he's playing in this match, but it is Kriller who has the superior accuracy and is keeping on to because there's a break from Fiery Rage. Ooh, Germany is just in the driver's seat on this pick now.
There's nothing that the U.S. can do. I feel like this is the same thing as, we've seen before, where the United States just has the combo breaks and there's nothing to go up against this. And Kriller and Whitecat right now are potentially going to do something absolutely outstanding on a grand finals DT4. There's nothing the U.S. can do. This is just going to keep going. It's just sending it, and the score lead is growing, and Whitecat and Kriller have not missed yet. We're coming into the last couple seconds of the map, and at risk of jinxing anything, there is no break into the ending, and there it is, a double FC.
Yeah, a double FC on a grand finals pool, as you do. Kriller and Whitecat just showing off, and Germany, that is 3 points in a row. 2-1 and a break point down, all of a sudden 4-3 and a break point up, just like that.
You saw how, when US won that No Mod 2 earlier, that was a big point for them. This is a massive point for Germany. It's a strong pick for the US, but Kriller and Whitecat had other ideas. You got to shout out Kriller coming into the squad this year, and that was a massive performance on the grand final stage.
Absolutely. Just, like I've been saying, he comes in and you see why he's on this team this year so quickly. And it is performances like that helping lead Germany to break points just like that one. And now, things are going to start to look a little dicey for the United States here in this first set. Germany up 4-3. If they can win their next pick here, it's 5-3. The United States would be definitely on the back foot. So Germany gonna look for whatever their strongest pick is, because this is gonna feel like a big point in the match, whether it goes out to that break point consolidation for Germany. They can get some more amazing performances out of Whitecat, out of Kriller, and they'll be in a pretty good spot here in the first set.
Oh yeah, for sure. We've got to mention Taquito and Fancy during that as well, because they were holding 99 by the end. One missed 99 from Fancy, the 99.3 slide break from Taquito. That's ridiculous act of that map. Just insane.
Yeah, I mean, the rookies, Tommy and Taquito come in and put up, very good scores. Fancy Lad doing what he is best known for. Unfortunately, just not quite enough. And we're going to keep on with the ones here for Germany. It is going to be going down that list. They go No Mod 1, they go Hard Rock 1, and they're going to go DT1 as well. Another collab map, Delis and Mirash going into some AR 10.3 DT consistency. What do you think about this one?
I'm thinking this is of course, a good pick considering the way this game has gone. They got to keep going for the aim maps. They've looked so strong. This one, certainly more on the awkward side of things, but not so awkward that it's going to throw either team off. With Delis and Mirage, the collabs they make normally have this edge of irregularity to them, right? Weird spacing here and there, some awkward anti-aim, and not usually very linear, but just little spacing things that are less than comfortable. And this map's full of those. But for the most part, outside of a bit of spice, this is an AR 10.3 speedy aim map that should be fine for the DT rosters of either team, honestly. Has quite a bit of speed in it though, plenty of bursts into bursts here and there. It's not massive, but the element of speed can take a couple of players out. I wonder if Fiery Rage will be in for this, considering that speed element. He has played a lot of the DT1s.
Yeah, I believe he was in on the DT1 last week, if memory serves. This one, 261 BPM, pretty quick. And once again, seeing Digital Hypno on this. Meanwhile, Germany played this yesterday, of course. Whitecat, Dust Ice, KHZ, and Okinawa was their roster. 2.2 million, they lost it against Korea. So it's interesting to see them going ahead and picking it here anyway. But I think they feel, their DT roster more than capable against the USA in this late stage of things. Ryu, Tommy, Fancy Lad, Digital Hypno looking like the roster for US. Rising coming in looks like to replace KHC. So a little bit of a change, but still that skill set that Germany has looked pretty good on so far this match.
Yeah, even though they did lose it against SK, you got to remember that the SK have a DT roster to be feared as well. And I think Germany have room to improve. The swap from Rising means they must have looked at this and rejigged it a little bit.
KHC just under 500k yesterday. Rising, maybe expected to do a bit better than that today. Their bottom score was actually Okinawa, but a player who is definitely capable of much stronger showings than he did there. Of course, last week, USA won the DT1 in pretty solid fashion. Whitecat FC'd, but it was not enough for Germany. And they're going to need to win it here again today if they want to keep this match close in this set, because they're starting to have a little bit of trouble. They have not had the player to match whoever the top scorer is from Germany on a couple of these picks, so they need to start turning things around in that regard right here and right now, or Germany may end up running away with this set.
They really need to start figuring out what direction they want to take in the rest of this match. They haven't really gone for the gimmick skill sets as heavily today, and I do have to wonder if there's a reason behind that. The mechanics fight between these two teams has been just so close right now, and I think that's in part because Germany is just picking so well into this match. I mean, despite even taking break points on the United States, it just goes to show they really only lost that Nomad 2 due to the performance of the United States. It wasn't even that they underperformed too heavily. The United States just was having an amazing time on that map. We are going to get a trade at a little bit before halfway in the map here. 3 minutes on a DT1. It's not terribly long in the grand scheme of things, but that traded break there is going to favor Germany in terms of the accuracy. Utami is kind of just working his way through this however he can, and he does finally drop. And that's a massive score gap there. That accuracy is going to take a huge toll. And there goes Fancy Lad as well. Germany's going to run away with this.
This is just Germany getting their best performances out of so many players. Whitecat still holding the 99.78 FC, Rising on an FC as well. Okinawa Dust Ice building combo back up. Meanwhile, United States just finding breaks all over the place. Rising does finally miss, but United States simply has no answer for Whitecat on this pick. And that has kind of felt like the case on a lot of these points that Germany has won so far. Germany will have a player FCing and maybe a backing combo as well, and the United States just doesn't. That's kind of that factor this year, maybe a little bit in this late round of their roster changes coming into play in the most difficult pool of the tournament. Now Germany going to look to run away with this, almost 300k lead, and a lot of combo. That Whitecat FC is so important for them, just untouched by anyone on USA.
Look at this. Even with the breaks of his teammates Rising, Okinawa Dust Ice has recovered from the earlier break, but there's nobody on the United States matching this right now. The closest one that you could even put on the roll would be Fancy Lad right now, and even with that one miss right in the middle of the map, you really do have to hate to see that. He's got to be capped on the score. Utami as well. this is just the White Cat show continuing, pushing on. He's going to finish with almost a 1.9 million, 1.8 million. Yeah, look at that. 1.18 million, almost 1.181. That is absolutely outstanding. 8/100s, 150 at the ending there. And Germany consolidates a break point.
Oof. Man, Germany just rolling. They look very good.
I mean, that one was less of a just team performance outplaying the US, but it just came down to White Cat, who, we'll say it again, White Cat is having an amazing game so far. Every map, every single map, he hasn't had a bad map so far.
Yeah, this has been the story of these late rounds. Last week he played incredibly well in the winners final, just didn't have quite enough backing score. Today again, playing amazingly, and he's getting a little bit more help from his team, and he's turning some of these picks around and giving them some big wins as well. So United States has got to find an answer for White Cat, because otherwise this is going to be a very rough day for them. You don't want to play the what-if game too much, but I think, in the past, United States has had somebody they can rely on. Idki 2019, Vaxay 2020. This year, so far in this match, through 8 maps, they don't have that player. And I think there's nerves on the team. Everybody's thinking, how do we match White Cat? Because he's going to come out and put out, an FC, or at least very near. And so there's a little bit of that worry. And I don't know what their answer is going to end up being if they want to bring this match back.
Well, I think the answer to that will be to just try and get maps in here that benefit as many of the US players as possible, because they have the specialists and they have the all-around players to fill out a very good team performance that can negate a one-person carry on some of these maps that Germany may need. And I think the No-Mod 3, going through the ult map, the No-Mod, I think this is a pretty good shot. It's still going for the control, and even though they went for that DT4 just now, which is vaguely similar to this, and lost it, this being off of that higher approach rate, off of that usual DT tempo on something in No-Mod, will suit the techie players of the US better, do you think?
My concern with a No-Mod 3 in this matchup is still going to come down to who matches White Cat, because he has shown over the course of this tournament that he is an amazing No-Mod 3 player. I mean, yeah, amazing at everything player, but it feels like that's just going to be the question for a lot of picks here. The United States, like you said, very good at these types of picks where they're a little bit away from the mechanics. But on a day where you're maybe not playing your best, a high volatility map like a No-Mod 3 might not feel the greatest. But clearly, to them, this is their best option in this exact situation. So you got to think that they feel like they can put up a good score.
Indeed. Also, with it being, I'd say, as far as Grand Finals goes, a fairly comfortable style of ult map. Maybe something to just help reset some of these players and get them back in their happy place, Try and get those performances. Because we know that, Utami, Fancy, they can FC this. Nikito could do it, Airyu could do it. Something like this may be a good way to try and get that momentum back, I think.
We're going to have to wait and see what happens. It's an early break from Kriller alongside White Cat, Okinamo, Dust Ice. This feels like kind of the squad here for Germany. Like, this is a kind of a core roster for them. And yeah, if USA can start out this map with some good combos, they'll be in a good spot. But Utami and Takedo both with a couple early breaks, and that's going to give the advantage right back on over to Germany. Okinamo does finally find a break, and it is about level ground now. But you start to worry about the USA's mental a little bit too. We've talked about some of these players. If they aren't able to put up good showings, you never know how well they're performing going forward. And currently, another break from Airyu, and it's not looking great already. Germany taking the lead.
You've got to be careful. There is a break from Dustis, so it is going to stay relatively close between the two right now, but Germany just barely with that lead. They're going to try and hold on to this as long as they can. The United States, however, again, despite having maybe not as good of a mental positioning in this match, there goes Okinamo. It's going to start to go back to them a little bit. They can live with the confidence that they do have to force Germany to go through that bracket reset match. So regardless of what Germany does in this first match, they are going to have to replicate this level of performance a second time. And that's counting on the United States playing the same way, if not better. Same thing with Germany. Kriller and Airyu are going to trade misses out. That's going to favor the United States. Now, Utami and Takedo, despite having early breaks, are going to hold through this entire section here. Takedo with accuracy that puts fear fear in the hearts of men and women alike. Same with White Cat and Fancy Lad and Airyu, honestly. Look at all these 99s, mid 99s.
Yeah, the kind of nice thing about a map like this is that typically, like, you might miss, but you're probably not going to hit very many 100s, so the accuracy able to really keep up there unless you chain miss an entire pattern. But yeah, like you said, I mean, that combo coming back up through Tommy and Taquito, and Fancy Lad still holding on to an FC to match White Cat. Another break from Kriller comes out, and this is going to start to feel a little bit better. There goes White Cat as well, and that's like the win con for Germany on this map because he had that FC remaining. Okinawa Dust Ice both break, so that is going to pretty much seal the deal. The United States should be able to take this point pretty comfortably. Maybe it'll help get them back onto, the right foot after a couple of subpar performances.
I mean, this is a United States team performance. This is something very similar to what we saw on the Nomad 2 earlier. I think it was not a case of Germany maybe not stepping up to the plate, but it's the United States. They occasionally have these moments where they just suddenly become that team that has won the World Cup for the past 2 years, and they kind of, show you the reason why they're in the Grand Finals match again. And this map is kind of a testament to that. Utami and Taquito, as bad as their early breaks were, they mean absolutely nothing because both of them are going to put up higher scores than everyone on Germany. Likewise, Fancy Lad, the absolute rock, the captain of the U.S. team, is going to slide a break the last note of the map. But regardless, almost 3 million on a Nomad 3 from the U.S. there, and Germany just sitting at 2 million. They're not quite as strong.
It's getting onto the comfortable mods, man. It's getting onto that comfortable styling for the US. Far better on that. And Fancy, he's been leading from the front, hasn't he? He's top scored for his team the last 5 out of the 6 maps. He's doing it right now, Fancy, the captain.
Whew. Yep. He shows, in OWC why he is such a feared tournament player. Seems like, last year, this is in his first year, this year as well, and trying to come back in and repeat, but that was a very needed point. USA could not afford to lose another break point there, and they did not. That was a strong performance and maybe helps the mental out a little bit if they were at all feeling negative. I can't say if they were for sure, but you got to expect that may happen a little bit on a couple of down points. So now get right back up and prepare for Germany's next pick, which will, of course, be their second to last pick. We're coming down to the late stages here. This is pick number 5 for Germany. What do we think out of what's left? We have no Nomads left. Do they go to the DT3? Well, finally.
You gotta wonder, because against the SK, it wasn't open. They couldn't even go into it if they wanted. Are they saving that? Or are they fearing the US speed roster? The Arison effect, right? Surely not with the way they're playing, but with the aim working out so well, I mean, free mod 1, hidden 1, both come under that aim umbrella. I don't know if you want to pick hidden into the US, though. There's a few choices. Oh, they're going for something completely different. Okay.
Wow. I did not see the free mod 3 coming here at all.
Mod players, I guess? Mod players, surely.
Yeah.
Germany with the potential Hard Rock and Hidden roster running strong today. Kriller has certainly looked much better today than he has in previous weeks, and he is generally someone that you could probably count on to run a mod for Germany, and they could be going with that.
Well, they have the mod players to fill in for the Hidden and the Hard Rock, and I think on something like this, depending on the player and their own skill set, this can be seen as maybe the most doable of the free mod picks. It's essentially a low BPM stream map, a flow aim map this. It's full of linear streams at that BPM right there, 165. First half is more about short, very spaced bursts and little 1-4 aim patterns, but from the second half, it's pretty much all about long, low BPM streams with accelerating and decelerating streams. And, well, no mod won't be too bad, but yeah, I think both teams won't be too bothered about putting mods on this. No overmodding, of course, but yeah, I think it's a pretty contested pick if I was going to look at the pool from top down. I'd say it's very contested.
And this, like we're surprised to see this, I think, but we know how good Germany's flow aim is capable of being. Even if they did lose the Nomad 2 today. It's not going to make it the end of the world by any means, and they feel good on their mods, surely. Okinamo, Hidden, and Whitecat Hard Rock. Joined by Kriller and Dust Ice on the Nomad. Meanwhile, Fiery Rage coming in, the Hard Rock player for USA. Taquito, finally we see him on a Hidden with Fancy Lad and Aryu on Nomad. We'll see if the United States can get that break point that they need to tie it up, or if Germany can push themselves to a match point here in this first set of the Grand Finals.
Something that is to note about Germany right now, they decided to put Whitecat on the Hard Rock. Now, generally, I think what we've seen from Germany is them trying to put Whitecat on Nomad across free mods to try and go for that guaranteed FC, but I do wonder if he's more confident on the Hard Rock on this than Nomad, which, to be perfectly honest, I don't even comprehend. I can't comprehend how that would be more comfortable, but for Whitecat at this point, it may just be, and I think that this is going to come down to those mod players on a map like this, because, you know, you've got Fiery Rage on the Hard Rock and you've got Taquito, two very proficient players in their respective mods here. Okinamo is going to be the only break at the beginning of the map here on the Hidden. I'm actually more surprised that there hasn't been another break. This beginning is so aim intensive here with aim control.
Yeah, these players are just all playing so well today, though. You don't see very many breaks anywhere. Players just having themselves a great day on this pool. There is the first break from the United States. It is going to be Taquito on the Hidden, matching Okinamo on the Hidden players breaking, but Okinamo now with a 300 combo advantage, going to bring this score back towards Germany's side as we match and pass the halfway mark. A pretty short map. This one's only 2 minutes and 20 seconds. There's not a lot of time left. But right now, it is going to be swinging the way of Germany if they continue to hold on to those 3 FCs. But it is Okinamo, the backing combo of the breaks, followed up immediately by Dust Ice on Nomad. And now the USA can take the advantage coming into the last quarter of the map. Fiery, Fancy, and Aryu all holding on still, and the lead going their way by over 100,000 points.
I just want to, ignore everyone else in the lobby right now and focus on Whitecat and Fiery, who are both FCing with Hard Rock. Oh, and Whitecat finds a break to trade out Aryu, and that is just the end of the world for Germany on this pick here. Fiery Rage, despite having a break, it's going to be on Fancy Lad to hold the combo against a very strong play from Kriller right now. The US going to take the gamble pick away from Germany.
And Fancy Lad breaking right at the end once again. He's having a little bit of a troll day. Slider breaking around the last note, just like he did in the previous map. So Kriller will be the lone FC with Nomad. That man is playing incredibly as well as Fancy Lad is. But the United States gets the break point back. It's 5-all. There is 1 pick left per team. Germany's free mod gambit does not pay off. And United States now in the position to give themselves a match point on their own pick.
Oh my god, they're picking Hidden 3.
Oh,
for the final pick.
Oh
Talk
my
about spice, man.
This match is so cursed. This is so cursed.
Oh man. Yeah, this is a wild last pick. And United States track record on Hidden against this Germany roster, might we remember, is not looking the best. You know, losing on Hidden last week, losing on a Hidden pick in that Grand Finals last year to send it to the tiebreaker. It's dicey to say the least, but man, this map is so freaking hard, dude.
It's just got these ridiculous offbeat rhythms. You can hear the vocals here. How crazy those vocals are. Nathan made a point to put just crazy spacing jumps that you have to snap to on every single one of those. And snapping to that stuff on Hidden, on this alt-style map on Hidden, it's a nightmare on a one try, and we've seen some very good players just completely fall apart on this already. To be honest, gotta be said, I don't think Germany are going to be too happy about this. US may well have been saving this the entire match, because they have a Hidden tech roster second to none in the entire tournament.
You know, we talk about those late picks, and it seems like both teams have them. USA going this Hidden 3. Of course, Germany did win this against South Korea, but their score was only 1.3 million, and the best score in the lobby was only 425k, so it's not as though that was a matchup of titans on this type of map. Germany still sitting on what I have to assume is going to be a DT3 last pick, regardless of what happens here. But this is the United States saying, this is where we're staking our claim. This is the line that you have to cross if you want to take us to a bracket reset. And I think this is a great pick for them in this situation.
Now let's just like sprinkle this in here. What if Germany wins this? I mean, it's going to be pretty insane if they win this. Everything points towards the US taking this pick. It's their strongest in the pool. I think even against something like a no mod 6, this is stronger. Well, let's just see what happens.
If Germany, so Germany yesterday got a 412k out of Whitecat, and I think that's an underperformance. So I think that there's room to see improvement for this Germany side. But like you said, man, this USA hidden roster is so good. Taquito, Tommy, Fancy Lad. There is a world where Germany wins, because there's always a world where, the team that's trying to get the breakpoint can win. But if they do, then they are in a very difficult scenario of probably picking DT3 and trying to close it out. So we're just going to have to let this play out and see what happens on these last two maps, because these are anybody's game.
This is potentially a repeat of last year here again. You mentioned the United States right at match point. Germany was able to take that last pick away from the United States to drag it to tiebreaker. This year, they are going to have to fight through the United States picks first and then potentially go to their pick to either win the match or to bring it to tiebreaker. But they've had a strong run thus far. They had a lead earlier in the match. Fancy Lad's gonna be finding a big break for the US here. So is Utami, and that's gonna favor Germany very heavily. And there goes Fiery Rage and Okinamo, but Whitecat breaks as well. It's all on Kriller.
It's Taquito versus Kriller. They both break. There is no combo anywhere. The largest combo on the map is 170 on Fancy Lad, backed up by about 160 on Utami. If you were gonna have anybody be your players to try to carry, it would be those two. And the United States going to have the tiniest of leads, just a small combo advantage as we hit the 1/3 mark. But there goes Fancy with an entire burst.
2% accuracy drop on Fancy Lad. That's massive.
And there goes Whitecat, though. The big players for these teams are dropping. Utami, Umbre, Trade as well. So now it's Fiery, Taquito, Okinamo, Kriller, the top row. Now the row to look at here. It switches over from that bottom row of players. There goes Kriller, though, and it's just down to Okinamo. Forward to combo. Matches one of either Taquito and Fiery Rage. That does mean the other player has free combo to try and build this lead for United States. You see the difficulty in this map. It is so hard to keep a combo up for very long. But the United States now has a little tiny bit of wiggle room if they can keep some combo for just a little bit longer through this middle third. About 100k lead is all, though, at this point in time. That is still so volatile.
That 100k lead will disappear as fast as you've seen anything. And there goes Fiery Rage with the miss. Kriller and Fancy Lad traded out, but it's going to favor Germany so heavily. It's Okinamo doing whatever he can. He's matching Taquito. Whitecat's matching Utami. Umbre is the score gain, and Utami finds a break with Fiery Rage. It's Kriller again. There's a triple break for Germany.
They just blundered it. They had the opportunity there, and they full missed all four members, unable to keep the combo. Taquito, meanwhile, putting up an 875 plus. The hidden player extraordinaire coming in for the United States in the clutch. That is huge from Taquito to keep that combo up as long as he did, with Germany completely breaking. And now the United States, 200,000 points to the good there in the driver's seat. This pick is all but theirs.
Taquito, the one and only, the rookie for the United States this year, brought on because of his outstanding performance in regional and the international tournaments. He continues to push on for the United States, being the only player above 500,000 score right now. And Taquito will be the one to bring the United States to match point here. Germany now at the do or die time. It is 6-5 in favor of the United States, and Germany, unlike last year, had to win on the United States' pick to drag to TB. They've got a little bit more of a comfortable position on their own pick here, but this is the time right here. It comes down to this.
I gotta say, I'm seeing Taquito do what he does, that we've known him to be able to do for so long on the biggest stage. It just fills my heart with joy. Taquito is such a beast, and that was such a beast carried through that ult section, that 1-4 section. So big. Everyone else just died, and he covered pretty much the entirety of it. Whew.
And now, well, it's DT3, right? It's got to be DT3, right?
Probably. I mean, are they going to be tempted enough by the aim in the other maps? I don't know. Hidden aim No, not really. Not into the US. Free mod 1, sure, half of it's jumps, but the other half is ult. It's got to be, right?
A wild throw here, a wild pick here would be Hard Rock 2 as well. The small circle size, we saw how good Germany looked on precision last week. That 6.76 circle size, Germany has been good at those small circle maps, so Hard Rock 2 technically could be another option. But I feel like in this situation, you just have to stick with your guns, and that's mechanics and stamina, and DT3 fits that bill. But they are taking their time because this is their last pick. It is the last pick. United States, no matter what happens here, they've guaranteed a tiebreaker. So they've got, that comfort level in their back pocket of knowing that they probably have a good tiebreaker roster. And Germany now is going to take their timeout. It is their pick, so they do have that brief timeout available to them to try and settle the nerves, try to think about what this last pick is, and I have to think they're debating pretty heavily if they are going that route.
Yeah, they do need to think about this, because they do have a few decent options, and they need to weigh it up against the US, because the US have a speed roster that can do well on that DT3. Right? Yeah, Double Time 3, it's pure speed. It's like 273 BPM, pure burst speed. It's the sort of map where, two of your players will just be holding on for dear life, and you'll have one guy that just plays it in his sleep, right? US have Arison. And Arison, if he's around, will just turn up and just play that map. It's not even going to be an issue, consistency aside. So Germany have to be careful of that. You can't just pick that and be like, yeah, sure. They do have to weigh up your options, because they have looked so good on things like the aim maps. And that Hard Rock 2 is, I go as far as saying that's a bit of a coin flip. That's one stream in Hard Rock 2. Yeah.
That map is there's a little bit of RNG involved in that, and I don't say that to flame the map. It's just kind of that style. This is a tough spot to be in. The last pick yesterday was that Hidden 1, right? That was the last map before the tiebreaker. Germany barely lost it. That was super, super close, but after losing the Hidden 3, I don't think they stay in the Hidden pool here.
Even if it is raw aim, it's US have the comfortable 4, especially in a situation where they know they can lose and still have a go. Yeah, I think if I was in their boots, I would probably be just fancying my chances on DT3. And there it is.
There it is. Yep. Okay. So, DT3. So, we're going to see, what do you think? Dust Ice, Okinamo, KHZ Rising. And then Arison, Utami, Fancy Lad. I don't know who the fourth is likely to be for USA on this. It could be Whitecat, just how well he's playing in this match as well, staying in for Germany just because he's the hot hand. But Germany on DT2 and DT3 picks, man, you know how good they are.
How do you feel right now if you are Arison and you have not played a single map this match, and the one map that your team calls you in for is the opposing team's pick on match point to win the World Cup for the year? How do you cope with the nerves that exist within, quite literally, I assume, everyone in the world who would be put in that situation? Likewise, apparently with KHZ, who will be experiencing the exact same thing right now.
They were the players put on their teams for this exact map in this exact scenario, and to steal the words from Asai, imagine the nerves coming in OWC Grand Finals 6-5. On one side, you have the player trying to close things out for the United States' 4th straight World Cup. And on the other, you have the player put on the team trying to come in and send it to another Grand Finals tiebreaker. The pressure could not be any higher, but you got to think that if anybody is going to have ice in their veins, it may be these two players.
Well, this is what they're there for, so we'll see how it goes. Oh man, this is the moment though. This is the moment.
Here we go.
I feel like I'm more nervous than that.
I know. I can barely stay in my seat here, man.
Tiebreaker potential.
Tommy, Rising, KHC, Dust Ice, Okinamo. So the expected roster for Germany does come in. I don't want to say anything too soon, but I am continuously worried for Rising on a lot of maps. He has struggled. If he is going to shine, this is going to need to be when it happens. United States. Meanwhile, like you said, Arison coming in for his first map of the match. KHC coming in first map of the match. How will these guys do as their rookie performances in an OWC Grand Finals? We are about to find out. First break comes from Utami, Germany with the early lead on AK and combo.
This is the German roster, slightly less experienced than the US roster in terms of tournaments, and I think that has been playing a large part in their speed roster over the course of the tournament so far here. Dust Ice is going to trade the breakout from Utami there. That's not who you want to see finding a break on your DT3. Dust Ice is essentially filling the role of what White Cat has for the rest of the match here for Germany. KHC is going to find a break as well. We're only a quarter of the way into the map. There's nothing too crazy so far. However, with these breaks from Germany, it's going to start to get rather dangerous here. Arison, the one to find a break. That's unexpected, though.
Is it or not, though? I mean, we talk about Arison, the little aim mishaps, his accuracy is incredible, impeccable even, but the aim is what he suffers on, and that is what we just saw. And there goes Rising, though. Rising have both broken, as has Dust Ice. Utami has a next break. Fancy Lad and Taquito, though, still holding a double FC. Okinawa was all that is left, and he breaks two! United States are going to open this wide, and the last stage is halfway through, and they're about to take a huge combo lead. The only combo on Germany is on KHC at 400. Meanwhile, the United States, a double FC from their captain and the leader, Fancy Lad, and Taquito behind him, the rookie on the team. 93 AK, be damned, he is still comboing, and that's what matters. USA with a big lead now with only a half the map left to go.
Germany's got to sit here and take it. They've got to put up the combos. The performance right now matters more than ever. We are only halfway through the map, but KHC breaks on such a simple section of the map. The shake's starting to get to him. There goes Rising. It's all but lost.
The nerves are getting to Germany. Those rookie player KHC.
You see the
Rising,
scoreboard.
Who has been struggling. Dust Ice and Okinawa can only do so much. The veteran members of the team. Meanwhile, the United States getting so much out of their players. Fancy Lad finally finds a break. He's at 500k, though. That is a huge score. Taquito still holding on, 93 AK, but it just doesn't matter. Arison with another break, though. Taquito and Utami have to hold on because Okinawa and Dust Ice are hot on their heels. But there goes Okinawa, there goes Rising, and KHC and Taquito as well. It is Utami versus Dust Ice, and the United States has such a big lead. I don't think there is any coming back from this one now. It is 600k, United States in the driver's seat.
They see the scoreboard every couple of seconds. Utami with the combo. You see the jitters on the cursor. He does find a break, but it's just Dust Ice to remain here. It's a 600,000 score gap, but Dust Ice would have to be FCing the map to drag the rest of that back. Arison finds a break. Utami finds a break. Taquito finds a break. Everyone on the United States is dropping. It's only Rising. It's not going to be enough.
The combo is not there.
It's going to be it.
The United States, with those scores from everyone on their team, they get the double time 3, the upset pick, the break point pick, and the match is theirs. United States, for the 4th year in a row, are going to become the OSU World Cup champions. What a performance on the last pick of the match, saying, you know what, Germany, we don't care that you're favored in this skill set. We are putting in our players, we are counting on our players, and we are getting the performance we need to take the point and the match.
Not just that, though. 3 of those US players on that last map, Arison, Taquito, Utami. Well, Taquito and Utami, rather. The 2 new players on the roster stepping it up. And they've got their winner's badge. They are the champions. And this dynasty will continue on. This is just an incredible era of American players.
You know, it's the depth. It's the continuous flow of amazing players through the team, and it's the reason why they can continue to make these switches and they can continue to win year after year. We mentioned it is the 4th year in a row now. The United States going for it. In the ending, Germany coming almost as close as last year, just one off of that tiebreaker, finishing almost in the same fashion with a ridiculously strong roster. Whether or not you support the fact that the US wins or not, Germany has put up a hell of a roster this year and just barely letting it slip away in the ending of that map pool there for lack of confident picks. And for them, that ends the run in the tournament. Of course, your winners, the United States. Germany, your 2nd place finishing team. And of course, props to South Korea, your 3rd place team now.
Another just amazing match between these teams. You know, 5-3, right, in favor of Germany. It just felt like that Nomad 3 pick. The entire match hinged on it. The United States dominated and went to win 4 points in a row. The poise of this team, all of these players are so experienced in tournaments, every last one of them, you know, top to bottom, whether they're a new player to the OWC roster or they're one that have been on for years and years. These guys know how to come in and win matches in the biggest of stage, and they just did that once again today. They did not back down. They did not allow themselves to be mentally beaten by losing those couple of points in a row. And that comeback and the closing out maps, just a remarkable performance once again, as we've come to expect year in and year out from the United States.
Even with all those new players, though, and the chatter before was getting into this tournament was, can the new players, you know, fill those shoes of the the legends before them, I suppose. And maybe at first they were a little bit shaky. We had a few concerns, but by the end of the tournament, there was just no doubt. There was just no doubt. They have showed exactly why they're here, even above the legends which attempted to get into this team and didn't make it. They've shown why they're here. You got to give props to Germany. Better year on year, year on year. We're going to get a nice TB to close things out, though, but it's another level up for Germany. And, well, I don't know what Dust Ice's plan is, but regardless of what happens, I think his nation's team, future's looking up in OWC.
This German team, you know, they made those changes to their roster that we talked about and came in and put up another great performance. And, you know, I don't think, if there's a silver lining in this, it's that I don't think you can feel bad about losing to the United States in OWC. You know, when you're almost any other country in the world, like the United States have just established themselves as the final boss of the OSU World Cup in Standard. And, you know, come in, get the kind of match that you had against them as Germany, both these matches, 7-6 in the winners final, 7-5 in the grand final. You know, it's not going to feel great. Nobody likes losing, but you can take solace in the fact that you put up such a good performance if you're Germany. Dust Ice, you know, maybe hanging up his tablet on back-to-back second place finishes. White Cat coming in, putting forth an amazing showing in this match. We cannot let that be, you know, pushed aside because the guy played incredible this match. But, you know, their roster looked good. Their roster will get better. I think some of those players who had a little trouble in these late stages will continue improving year after year. And I think we're going to be seeing this Germany team, you know, even if they have to make changes next year, we're going to be seeing them in this level again because these guys have proven that they're for real.
Real deal. Despite potentially losing some of their roster next year, you know, we talk about a lot of the time this is potentially Dustus's last OWC that he is playing, and they're going to have some switches that they need to make, but you can certainly count on players like White Cat and Kriller to at least come back next year, and I think those are the two you're going to have to look out for in the future. Of course, we've got our little TB show match here after the match ending. See if we can get some awesome performances on this. Of course, again, massive shout outs to you for the custom song, new featured artist as well. If you saw the showcase, a very awesome map. Also to all of our mappers that participated in this, a fantastic job here. I think this is a big favorite with all of the players this year. And I think we're looking for some crazy performances here. Taquito, White Cat, and Airyu all holding NFCs.
Let's not go Dust Ice as well up there with 800.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we saw this map, I was thinking, like, this is such a Taquito map. I talked about it yesterday while I was talking to some friends about the match that was going on and watching this map being played out in the match yesterday. It was just, this is such a good map for United States that, you know, even if they had lost that last map and gone to TB, I think they would have felt like this was a good spot to be in. But man, Germany's putting up a good score on this too, so I think that would have been super contested. It would have been fun to see, but what are you gonna do? United States, they're inevitable.
Airyu just held through the first bit of the slider section here with the rest of the lobby breaking. It's just him still going. Look at this. Imagine we get the tiebreaker performance that I think people wanted to see. We talked about Airyu not quite as much during the match, but it looks like during tiebreaker he would have had a pretty good time.
Airyu's a tiebreaker player, man. I think I remember in the 2019 tiebreaker show match, he popped off there too. It seems to be his slot. Oh, there's the break, but
yeah.
Finally for him there.
But Now we got this play out. These guys having a good showing of things. Sean, it's good spirits, guys. Despite the loss from Germany, coming in to play the tiebreaker out for fun. I think that's kind of cool to see from those guys.
Absolutely insane. The sportsmanship between the teams in this tournament is just absolutely unreal year after year, despite wins and losses. And, this is the tournament community as a whole. These are players that they play with each other in matches, in other community tournaments. These are our friends and kindred spirits and competitors, and they are all here to have a good time, to perform to the best of their abilities, to be perfectly honest, give each other a hard time because they find it fun. And I think the whole atmosphere of that with these players is absolutely awesome. So they are going to continue going through, having a good time with this. I don't think there's any hard feelings every year between them. They'll continue. They'll move on for, God knows, the next tournament and play together on the same team or something. And it'll all be a good time. We'll come back next year and they'll be up here to perform again to the best of their abilities.
So, as we play this out, do we want to, let's see these guys again. Okay, I don't know, I'm still trying to process the match we just saw. It's been quite the year, and it's been quite the series of matches, and I don't know, looking forward to what's to come as well. Like you said, these guys are going to be coming back, going to be putting in some great performances, once here. And in the future, man. Fancy Lad 1300 combo, by the way. He and Whitecat were matching combo. Man, these are better scores than the teams got yesterday, I believe. At least in a couple cases. This map is very, very hard.
Whitecat's accuracy is impressing the hell out of me right now.
Yeah, Utami down at 92, not having the greatest of times.
He's trying his best. Oh, Whitecat with a big chain miss on that stream there, but so did Airyu. Look at that. I mean, we might as well just run through. This is final ki of the tiebreaker. If you can't get hype at this, then regardless of the match being over.
This song is insane. Like, this song is such a cool way to cap things off, because it was just, we talked about during the showcase and everything, like you being brought on to make this as a custom song and just doing such an amazing job with it. Really, really amazing to see once again, an awesome Grand Finals tiebreaker song. And another great Grand Finals tiebreaker map, even if we didn't get to see it played in this one. Of course, was played yesterday, so we did end up getting a tiebreaker in this round, like with every other round this year, just showing that the teams are very close and very well matched, and, it feels a little bit inevitable, I guess, at the end of the day. Everybody beats everybody, and the United States takes first place. That's kind of just the OWC script, but they've earned it, and they deserved it. And they, once again, back to back, 4 years in a row, 6 out of the last 7. Just an unprecedented period of dominance in OSU Standard for the USA.
Gotta say, though, this OWC, in terms of the competition between the top 12, top 16, even beyond, throughout this tournament, has just been insane. You mentioned how many tiebreakers we've had. There's been so many good fights, so many little stories throughout all the other teams, and just so much to talk about with this tournament. It's honestly been one of the best in terms of the raw competition.
We discussed it, I think, during the pre-match showcase, and I think over the past couple of weeks, but I could not agree more. We have just had an absolutely amazing showing from all of the teams this year. The most tiebreakers we've seen out of the past, multiple years in the tournament as a whole. Close matches, upsets, and seeding, and early rounds and late rounds and back and forths, and there was just basically everything given to us that we ever could have asked for in the tournament this year. And while the close to the tournament wasn't the nail-biting bracket reset tiebreaker match that I think some people may have wanted, we certainly had a fantastic finish, and I think both of these two teams performed exactly the way that they wanted to. And regardless of who comes out with the win here, the United States had that first place. Germany second, of course, third for South Korea on your screen. That is a performance that they can be proud of for a little while to come.
The shout outs to the top 3. South Korea, taking that third place despite having to fight through almost the entirety of the losers bracket. That's not even the first time. They had to do the same thing in 2019, I believe, but they did it again. So shout out to SK. A ridiculous run from those guys. And of course, our top two, Germany and the United States.
Yep. What more can you say? It's an amazing tournament again. South Korea, like you said, the great run. United States still emerging on top no matter what. It has been amazing to watch. And I know I've had a great time with this, and I think you guys have as well. It's been a wonderful World Cup experience this year once again.
As it always is. It's always a pleasure to watch, help out with, commentate, hang around the OWC peeps, and it's been another fantastic tournament. Of course, it has been 10 years since the OS World Cup kicked off in 2011. I think it's been a good 10 years for the tournament. So much has happened, and it's been so awesome seeing the competitive side of this game just become so involved, and so many people getting stuck into it. It's always an absolute pleasure.
Absolute at that. This tournament has been an absolute ride from start to finish. Of course, the 10-year mark passing us this year. The absolutely amazing progression of this tournament brought about by players and staff behind the scenes alike. There is so many people that we could go through and we could thank for hours on end who have made this possible from the beginning all the way to today. But for now, the OS World Cup 2021 is officially coming to a close. We had some massive changes this year, some new organization. We brought on some new commentators, new referees, roster switches with players, and competitive performances. Massive shout outs to our two leaving players for next year. Of course, in these top placing teams, Dust Ice and Flying Tuna, who will not be returning next year. They have done very well for themselves, solidifying this podium spot, immortalizing their names at the top at OS World Cup 2021. But for us, that will do it this year. We hope you've enjoyed all the streams, all the matches, all of the amazing things that have come out of this tournament every year. We will be sure to come back next year stronger than ever, better than before, and hopefully with some more amazing matches. We thank you all for watching. We'll catch you all next year.
I can feel the evolution. All my time no longer frozen. So maybe all the all. I don't know who I will become, but I know what I want more than ever before. can feel the evolution. All my time no longer frozen. So maybe don't be at all. I don't know who